Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Chatterbox. Over the coming weeks, we'll be reviewing the best and most popular shows on television. I'm Siobhan, your host, and with me today I have animal science graduate Chloe Soanes and media performance students Reese Hawkins and Amini Abishay. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Are we all okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And have we been enjoying any shows in particular on television? Apart from The Walking Dead, which I hope that you're enjoying because we're talking about it.
I like a lot of a League of Their Own.
Yeah.
I'm into all that sort of stuff. A bit of comedy and sports, of course.
Yeah. Cool.
That's the main
Game show?
program. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you a clip from The Walking Dead. So run VT.
Stay calm. You can move right through them. You don't draw attention.
Don't miss what happens next when The Walking Dead returns Sunday, February 14th at 9, only on AMC.
Okay, so very gruesome, very bloodshed, typical Walking Dead style. Do we have any of you who are massive Walking Dead fans? Chloe, what was that noise over there?
That was me going.
So have you watched all 6 seasons?
Yeah, from the start when it's first premiered, I've watched it a couple times through now.
So how did you feel about the newest episode?
It was probably actually one of the best episodes they've done, in my opinion. Quite high up there, partly because it solved the cliffhanger and didn't end in a cliffhanger, which was the biggest fear. But yeah, we had a lot of sort of plot moving forward for once and not dragging over 6 episodes, which was nice.
Do you have any favourite characters?
I like Rick, I like Michonne, I like Carol.
I like the look of Rick too, I do.
Me too.
Don't know about him.
Yeah, I quite like there's quite a few strong characters, but probably Rick, Michonne and Carol are the top 3 for me.
Yeah, but Carol, I feel in this episode, those of you who missed it, we saw Sam Anderson, who's a very young boy, be eaten alive by zombies, and it was so disturbing and so awful. And actually the reason was because Carol had started shooting at the zombies, which attracted them to Sam, who started crying because they were all making a fuss. So how did you feel towards Carol?
I actually felt more annoyed with Carol in the fact that he was sort of flashing back to things she'd said before about, you know, being tied up to a tree and the way the walkers would eat him alive, and you could tell it really panicked him quite you know, down to the core. And it sort of did annoy me that I always saw Carol as quite, when she's in the prison, she was a very motherly figure and she looked after these kids and she taught them how to be tough in the world. And actually at this point she went over a line and she really quite ruined Sam's strength and resolve because he was more fearful than toughened up.
But do you really blame that on Carol? Because he is a character who is a very young boy, and you know, walking through masses of zombies, pretending that you're dead and seeing intestines spill out of someone's gut. Can you really blame Carol for the fact he started crying?
Not entirely, because he is a young child and you can't blame him either. I think it's an unfortunate situation. He's a young kid. They didn't want to take him through it in the first place. Jesse was saying like they could take him somewhere else. He could go with Gabriel, but he didn't want to. And it was almost as if he wanted to prove himself, and that was his own downfall.
So Reese, I know that you haven't watched much of The Walking Dead, and
I
this
haven't,
was
but
actually Reese's first time watching any of The Walking Dead.
Same here as well.
And same for Amina. So what was your opinion?
For someone that's only just started watching it, I have to admit it is fantastic, and to jump straight in at that particular time in The Walking Dead kind
Like
of
Chloe
made
said.
me a bit, especially with the young child getting ripped apart by a zombie, you kind of think, okay, I wasn't expecting that, especially for your first episode to watch. But I can definitely see how you could be hooked onto it. It's definitely one of them programs that you can be indulged into and just watch over and over again. So I will start
all
to
raving
watch
about it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I hate blood and I hate guts. And honestly, when I saw those intestines, I'm going to mention it again because it was gross. Those intestines spilling out of someone's gut.
Yeah, it was.
And I know
very
it's all
nice.
just makeup, but It looks really real.
I couldn't watch it.
How did you feel? Yeah.
I didn't like it because I'm not really a fan of the gossip and the disgusting things coming out of people's body. I mean, I tried to watch it, but I kept looking away because I didn't like the way the blood came out and stuff. I mean, I like the setting, the way it was done. That's the only reason I watched it, and how they act. Other than that, I would not watch it because it's too scary for me.
I mean,
It
was Chloe might kill me. I'm the presenter of the show, and I've only watched 2 episodes of The Walking Dead in my whole entire life. But I actually felt like I really made quite an emotional connection with those characters.
You only have to watch one of them to
and
get that.
And not just because Rick's a really good-looking man who I really fancied. Like, I really felt as though I went on a journey with them just from one episode. So, Chloe, how do you feel? Do you feel like can you expect any other deaths in particular? Do you have an idea of who might be next?
I think a couple of hints have been laid out, and I think sort of they're teasing things to people who've read the comics as well, because there are some deaths that have happened in the comics that people aren't sure if they'll happen in the show. And then we've had in the last half of this season, we had where everyone expected Glenn to have died, and he didn't. Because he was in this episode, so everyone was expecting him to have gone, and he's come back. And I think they're doing throwbacks to characters that died a long time ago. When Glenn was in the church with Enid, he was talking about all the people in his past, Dale and whatnot, that he is still living on for and who still live on through him. And I wonder if they're starting to try and give hints to characters that resemble them. And I know that in the comics we do have some sort of big deaths that... I'm not going to spoil anything, but we do have some big deaths of characters that people are now starting to like and redeem themselves and be enjoyable.
Yeah, and we saw that Glenn, the guy, he was swamped by zombies, and it really looked like he was going to die. Until one of the other survivors came to his rescue, Abraham came to his rescue. Were you expecting that rescue at all?
I was expecting a rescue. It was a pleasant surprise to see that it was Abraham and whatnot. I was expecting at the very least someone to distract the walkers.
To distract them. So you weren't expecting that Glenn might die, that he's had all these chances in different episodes. No. Did you not think this is the end? They're going to eat him. No. Glenn's gone. Yeah.
Glenn's off
not
the
just
show. Yet.
I did.
No?
No.
So, okay. That might be something that we'll have to come back to. So, obviously, the characters who had the hardest time were the ones that got eaten by zombies. But out of the survivors, I think we could all agree that Rick lost his love interest. He lost his wife in a previous season. He has now lost his love interest's kids. It seems as though the only kids who survive on this show are Rick's kids. The rest seem to get killed. So do you think that Rick's kid's going to be next?
I think people tend to assume that because Rick is almost a guaranteed to survive character, he's the main driving character of the show, that people who are attached to him...
the best looking!
that everyone attached to him is almost safe, and they're not. I mean, even Carl didn't really look that safe in this episode. He narrowly escaped being quite dead.
For those of you who don't know, Carl is is Rick's son, and he actually got shot in the eye. So they rushed him to hospital in this episode, and he has survived.
How can you guys even watch that? That's so creepy.
I know. Okay, so you'd switched off at this point because there was too much blood and guts.
I enjoyed it though. I have to admit, I am definitely.
So much has happened already.
Yeah,
I was thinking, whoa.
A lot happened in one episode.
Happened in just one episode.
Yeah. The episode was actually titled "No Way Out," and I think we can agree. Well, for me, there was no way out of me putting that episode off. I was watching the whole thing, no matter how much blood and guts. It was incredible. Reese, do you think that you're going to start watching The Walking Dead? Do you think you'll start watching from season 1? Or?
Yes, I do. I feel like I need to definitely watch every single episode that's been, because just from watching one episode so far, I really, really like it. Especially, I like the fact that, especially in this one that's just been called No Way Out, you see every 2 seconds someone looks like they're about to get killed, and then for whatever reason doesn't. But I would definitely like to see from series 1, so I get a kind of gist of everything that's happened, because it is something I would watch.
So Chloe, as the biggest fan of the show here, watching from season 1 and reading all of the comics that The Walking Dead stems from, what do you think makes The Walking Dead such an addictive binge program?
I think it's the fact that every series you do have a slight change in sort of setting, or, I mean, for example, each director or producer, when they come in on each series, is going to change the walkers up slightly. So this is the first series we've seen them getting really gory and being very rotten and whatnot and falling apart. In previous series, they've been faster or smarter or slower or less gooey. And I think as much as people might complain that it's a zombie show and there's not always a lot of
They
zombies,
keep it fresh.
It's-
The
yeah.
storylines are fresh.
and it is still a character-driven show, even though you're kind of watching it for the zombies.
Yeah.
You're watching it for how the characters react to the zombies.
Well, we've had the opinions of these three wonderful people, but we also took to Twitter this week to see what they've been saying. We are on Twitter, by the way, at ChatterboxBeds, if you want to give us a follow. Something that we love to do is have a look at what other people are saying. So we had Emily Van Camp said, perfect episode of # The Walking Dead. Just caught up and I'm speechless. I'll have to agree with that reaction, Emily. We also had Adam Baird say, I'm glad I wore my brown pants. # The Walking Dead. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you if I agree with that one or not. But finally, we had Jay Hutton, who is a celebrity from E4's Tattoo Fixers, say, my money is on Glenn being the last one standing. # The Walking Dead. The guy is like a cat with 9 lives. So, Chloe, as he said, you think that Glenn's still got another life or 2 in him. So we'll have to see. But unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you to our amazing guests, Reese.
Thank you very much.
Girls, amazing. Join us next week when we will be looking at the brand new series by Martin Scorsese, Vinyl. See you next time.